Nathan, I know Pav leaves a big hole in the side, but you have proved you can win without him.
We have. We've played most of the year without Pav, so obviously really disappointing to lose him, and he'll be the first to admit that, but whoever comes in will do the job.
Have you spoken to him about how he's feeling? Obviously, to come back for a couple of games and then get rubbed out, it must be a bit frustrating.
He had a bit of a chat to us this morning, and he expressed his disappointment. But obviously now he's accepted the decision, and he'll hit the training track for the next couple of weeks and come out raring when we play GWS in a couple of weeks.
He got a lot of attention from the trainers at the weekend. He's obviously still not 100%.
Oh, he's only played one game back, so match fitness is something that takes a number of weeks to get back, and he was building and will continue to build over the next couple of weeks, and he'll be ready to go for the last couple of games.
Is that something that normally happens, speaking to the group, or is that something he just wanted to do?
As a player that gets suspended, and I was one earlier in the year, we have to acknowledge that it's an undisciplined act that ultimately led to him being out of the side, and I was the same earlier in the year, so it is important that we address it to the group because it's something that we don't want to happen, but he's done that and we move on now.
How important is it, obviously coming towards the end of the year and possibly finals, that guys aren't missing games through just silly things like that? And I suppose it was a split-second decision.
Yeah, it was a tough one, but we don't want our best players sitting in the stands through injury, illness or undisciplined acts like that. So all players are on notice and they know that we want our best players out in the park each week.
In that same light, how's Nick Subin travelling? Did he train this morning?
I'm not sure if he trained this morning, but he's pretty close, I think. So he'll do pretty much full training all this week, and we'll push for selection.
How have the guys pulled up? It looked like a pretty physical game on Sunday.
Yeah, Western Derbies are always really physical, and the weekend was no exception. So light day on the training track today, and we'll get ready for next week.
Will that plan to see Nat? Is he up and about?
Yeah, he's moving around and in good spirits, and he'll go through the usual process on the back of his concussion with the testing and whatnot to determine whether he's right to play this week.
At half-time and three-quarter time at the weekend, even though you were behind on the scoreboard, did you feel you had the Eagles measured?
We just know that we've been in some tight tussles throughout the year. The Sydney game at SCG proved that we can come from behind, and when it's a tight game, we know we stick to what we know, stick to our structures, and play all the way through to the final siren. And ultimately, the hard work we did for the first three quarters really paid off in the last.
You must be having nightmares about that draw with Sydney. If it wasn't for that, you'd be in the four.
We could have lost 2 points as well, so we took the 2 points, and a win would have been nice, but I think, as Ross said, I think we pinched 2 points in the end.
And Paul Duffield, Nat, how's he tracking?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure where he's at, but he wouldn't be far behind either, so he'll probably push to do a full week on the training track this week and push for selection.
There's been a few calf issues throughout the side. Is that just a coincidence, or is there something you're looking at?
I'm pretty sure it's just a coincidence. All sides start to go through a few soft tissue injuries as the season progresses because it's such a gruelling year, the AFL season, so guys will be monitored throughout the rest of the year to ensure that they're not overloading.
Do you feel like the midfield chemistry is the best it's been since probably you've been playing in midfield at the moment?
I think so. Yeah, I think we've got our full contingency back now. Obviously, with Aaron coming back in and really starting to come into form, and Zach Clark has really taken his game to a new level. And having us three big-body mids inside, plus the outside run with Hill and Pearce, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Chris Mayne played really well on the weekend. He seems to play a bit better when Pavlich is in the side. How's he going to feel, obviously, with Pavlich missing next week?
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding on the weekend. He's just attack on the ball and his ferocious defensive efforts and his tackling is first class. But he'll have to lift for us this week. We know that his defensive acts always stand up, but he'll have to be a real marking target and hopefully kick a bag for us.
How's your body going at this stage of the year?
I'm pretty good, yeah. I had a layoff earlier in the year due to suspension, so that's probably held me in good stead coming towards the back end. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. My body's in good condition, and I'm hopefully looking forward to the next sort of 7 or 8 rounds of the season.
Now, of course, it was Daniel Jackson that you had the incident with last time. You think you might see him again on the weekend?
Yeah, could come up against him again. But yeah, no ill feelings or anything like that. There's things happen in footy, and we move on.
You sit in the top 3 alongside Gary Ablett and Josh Kennedy for contested possessions in the comp this year. How would you assess this season compared to your previous couple?
Well, obviously this year I've played the most games I have in a couple of years, obviously with my injuries last year. So I've been pretty happy to put games on the board and continue to play week in, week out and be pretty consistent with my performance. So I've been pretty happy so far, but still know there's a lot of work to be done throughout the rest of the year.
How do you measure it to 2011? which probably would be the best?
Yeah, so 2011 I was a slightly different player. I was probably about 5 or 6 kilos lighter and played more of an outside role as a wingman, half forward type, whereas this year I'm more in the engine room, a real inside player, and I think the contested possessions probably reflect that. So a different role, but I'm enjoying my role at the moment.
How's the shoulder? Have you had any issues with that?
Nah, shoulder's been really good. The guy over in Melbourne, Greg Hoy's done a fantastic job, and yeah, I'm fully confident with where that's at.
Now, just the role you're playing, have you spent less time up forward this season? Is it still something that you want to do, develop that role as a forward?
Yeah, I like to be versatile and get forward when I can. Having the guys come back in Aaron and obviously Matthew for a brief period meant I could spend more time in the midfield, but the ability to go forward, especially when under tag, is a key string that I want to continue to develop. And being a goal-kicking midfielder is another dimension.
We all remember that game against Richmond. It was really close. You must rate them pretty highly given that performance earlier in the year.
Yeah, they're a quality opposition. They always seem to play really well against us. So I think we had a good game against them last year at the MCG. I didn't play that one, but the guys really got the job done in the wet over there. So we'll be looking at that game and looking to do similar things.
Do you think you play well at the MCG as a team?
We don't get to play there that often. I think last time we played there was in the final last year, and we had a really good result then. So more good exposure and opportunity for guys that haven't played there much.
I suppose particularly with the finals, on the horizon, because that's where you have to win on the biggest day.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Ultimately, the finals and the grand final is played on the MCG, so that's where you want to play your best footy.
They've got a lot of pace in their midfield. How do you look to shut that down and counter it?
Yeah, they've got guns across every line, and I think predominantly in the midfield. So we've got some good outside runners as well. I think a young guy, Cam Sutcliffe, has been really effective for us on the wing, and he's got a huge engine, so he could get a job on someone as a running player. But they've got guns across every line, and I'm sure Ryan Crowley will have his work cut out on one of them this week.
It's really important to try and stop them, obviously, getting a bit of a run on, because once their fans get up and about, the atmosphere of the MCG can be pretty intense. Yeah,
it can be pretty electric. I used to be a Richmond fan myself, so I know what sort of fans they have. So yeah, similar to the Derby on the weekend, we have to try and silence their crowd early and take that factor out of it if we can, because really they add such an extra level to their team.